And I've been doing it ever since. So whenever the first class was when my practice started. So I'm new, just like you are. Maybe the difference is that you might be wondering, okay, what about all this stuff? And I'm not wondering anymore because I have more energy in my body every day, which is really cool. If you're getting older, you like want that. I don't know what you want. I will tell you, I want that. So this has already happened with no drugs and not a great deal of effort. So if you're as lazy and disinterested as I am at this point, this will really appeal to you. Okay, so that's kind of my shtick, that, and where David and I are friends from Lester Levinson for a year and a half now. So so we kind of know each other. We went out to lunch yesterday. It was really cool. Yeah, gave him a hug. He gave me a hug. It's fun. Yeah. So okay, that's what I have to say.
So thank you, Dominic. That's awesome. You're awesome. This meetup is not about vortex healing, although if you've taken a vortex healing class and you want to channel vortex healing during the meetup, that's cool. But reason I'm mentioning it is because I just finished a 7-day vortex healing class in Tempe, which is how I met Dominic in person for the first time this past week. And that class was totally awesome, and meeting Dominic was awesome. And so thank you for that. And so when I teach classes, I thrive on input and feedback and hearing from the students. So I would really be honored if a couple of you would say what has motivated you to come here. Why are you here today, and what are you hoping to get from this? Anybody?
Me, I'm looking for a deepening,
okay,
and a more physical sense of being awake.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thanks, Lenny.
For me, I'm generally just curious, and I'm typically out of town on weekends, so I've never been able to make this, but I found myself home this weekend. I wanted to just kind of explore, just try out different methods, try to fine-tune different ones to like fit a bunch of different ones into one method that really works.
Awesome. So thank you for that, Jacob. In this meetup, I don't teach the same thing every time. There's some repetition, but there's like new stuff almost like every week. And so most of you haven't been to this meetup before. And so what I'm planning to do this week is to put small video tutorials of all the techniques that I've taught that you haven't been able to see onto Perfectly Okay. All right. So you can go and just look on there, and actually you can practice the ones that you missed. And there are a couple really, really good ones that we're not going to do today, but I'm going to encourage you to do. One of them is kind of like a yogic version of EMDR, and the other is kind of like a yogic version of tapping. And they're kind of supercharged. They're really powerful. So I'll encourage you to just try any of them, actually, because just like the Finder's course, try stuff and see if it works for you. And because when it's working, you can usually feel it like really quick. So yeah. So someone else, who else would like to share like why you've decided to be here today?
I was just interested in the description. I didn't know about this meetup before, and sounds good to clear the subconscious at warp speed. I like doing things fast and not spending too much time on things that don't work.
Cool. So thank you, Bernard. So Kundalini Yoga, from my perspective, is basically an overall method. It has a very large number of techniques. And what I have seen happen is that if you put a little bit of effort into it, you many times will get a great result. But if you put effort over time, you get a fabulous result. So if you just keep doing it on a daily basis, it doesn't have to be very long. So let's get right into it. Unless anybody else wanted to jump in, you're welcome to say anything. All right, so let's begin. All right, so So I'm going to just start right in on these methods. This is a practice-based meetup. And in Kundalini Yoga, there is one thing that is very important. There's 100 things that are, but there's one thing that's I just want to share with you at the beginning, which is that there's an energetic way of beginning and ending each session that you do. So I want you to know what that is. And we're going to practice the beginning and the ending both right now. The reason why I want you to have this, and by the way, if you want to get the notes with a detailed description of the 2 techniques we're going to learn today, and you haven't been on this meetup before, you can put your email in the chat, and then I will send that to you. I'll send you a PDF with the notes of all the steps that we're going over. So you can take notes if you want, but it's all typed up and stuff. So anyway, so there's a specific mantra that you do at the beginning of starting Kundalini Yoga and at the end. So I'm going to show you what that is. Okay, so this is it right here. Blow this up here a little bit. Okay, so this here that I'm highlighting is the mantra that you do to begin the Kundalini Yoga. And so what you do is you sit with a straight spine and you put your hands together in prayer position like this, and then you put this knuckle right here in the depression on your chest right there. Just relax. Just make sure all the fingers are touching together. And so we are going to recite and chant 3 times this mantra, which is Om Namo Gurudev Namo. So it says D-E-V, but it's pronounced Dave, like David. So the key thing is that most of us, if you haven't done Kundalini Yoga, you probably haven't heard the mantra Om, O-N-G. So it's kind of like Om, but it's actually like a different version of the same kind of mantra. So it's not Om. We're not chanting Om, but the NG actually means that the sound is resonating in the nasal cavity. So you're actually chanting the Om through the nose, okay? Obviously, the sound's coming out your mouth, but it's nasal, like as follows. If I just went Om like that, there's one sound. But if I go Om, I'm causing it to ring up here. And so that's the key. So here we go. Inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. So what's happening here? Basically, you're tuning into the divine within you and to your guides and protectors, and you are basically creating a sacred space so that this practice that you're doing is very effective, very protected, very powerful. And so that's the beginning. Now, we're going to do the ending one to practice it right now. Reason is because people can just leave the meetup whenever they want to, and that's totally fine. But if you've done some Kundalini Yoga and you just leave the meetup when you need to, and we haven't done the ending practice, I would request, or suggest rather, that you then do this ending part on your own, so you can complete it also in a spiritual way. So if you decide to check out and leave, that's your prerogative. That's totally cool. But then please do this mantra at the end when you leave on your own. And so that's the same hand position. And we're going to practice. The mantra is Sat Nam. So it's typed S-A-T, but it's pronounced S-U-T. Sat. Okay. And we're going to do a long Sat and a short Nam. Okay. So here we go. We'll do 3 of those. Inhale. Sa Sa-nam. Sa-nam. And then there's a second part of the ending, which is this song on YouTube that you just sing along with for like 30 to 60 seconds. And I have the YouTube address of the song here. And that's basically, may the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. So that kind of just repeats with a little melody. It was kind of popular at one brief point in the 70s, but that's the second part of the tuning out of the to end the practice. So that's the beginning and the end. And then, so I want to get right into the first practice that we're going to do today, which is a practice that has three benefits. It helps to treat depression. It helps to focus the mind and also eliminate self-destructive behavior. So this is right down the money for what we're doing here because it balances the mind and the brain. And yeah, so it very beneficial for that, and also helps people overcome challenges in their life. So posture is number one in Kundalini Yoga. So you want to sit straight, and in this case, what you're going to do is, I'm going to show you here, lower back. Okay. All right. So this here is just like a regular posture. You're just going to rock it forward a little bit like that. See that difference there? You're basically just kind of locking the lumbar spine forward. The first 6 vertebrae are just going forward a little bit. Or you could just call it kind of like sitting at attention, right? So that's what we're going to do. In particular, I don't have that typed here. It just says sit with a straight foot spine, but that's what this one is doing. Okay, so this finger is the Jupiter finger. This finger is the Saturn finger. So the key to this, the energetics behind this, this practice that we're learning right now, is that we are going to balance the Jupiter and Saturn energies. And so that is a huge benefit overall in our lives. Jupiter is the guru planet. It's the planet of wealth and of spiritual progress. Saturn is the harsh planet. It's the planet of discipline and rigor. And also lots of heavy-duty karma comes with Saturn. So when these two are in balance, everything is much better. So what we're going to do is we're going to place these fingers here right here at the side, roughly parallel with the eyes. Just, you know, it's not very difficult, just up here like this. And then what we're going to do is the practice for 8 minutes. There's 3 parts to this, which I'll walk us through. The practice is that the hands will be here, but we're going to actually go like this, back and forth like this, okay? And while we're going back and forth, okay, fingers just where they're comfortable, but roughly here at the level of the eye, the fingertips. While we're actually putting them from a V to close, we're going to simultaneously visualize that the planet Jupiter and the planet Saturn are coming together, merging, coming apart, coming together, coming apart, and synchronize that with the finger movements. So these are the planets apart, planets together, planets apart, planets together. So it's see in your mind, you know what, you've seen a lot of astronomy pictures. You know what Jupiter looks like. You know what Saturn looks like. See them coming and becoming one and then separating back out. You'll do that in time with the finger movements. And then the second part, which we'll just go right into, but I'll talk us through it when we start. The second part is 2 minutes long. We're going to keep that same finger movement going and the same visualization, but we're going to add now that we're going to coordinate the breathing with it. So you inhale and exhale with the finger movements and through the nose. Okay? For the first 8 minutes, don't worry about the breathing. Whatever happens, happens. When we go into part 2, you're going to inhale and exhale through the nose in time with the movements and the visualization. Okay? For the third part, which is 1 minute, we're going to just, and I'll again prompt us when this happens, so you don't really have to remember right now, but just to familiarize yourself. We're going to hold the fingers wide apart so it hurts for 1 minute, and then breathe through a mouth. Inhale and exhale, your mouth be shaped like an O. Okay, and then there's a little concluding sequence which I will take us through. All right, so any questions about this before we start? Is it pretty clear? All right, so here we go. Done our tuning in. So beginning 8 minutes of fingers open, close, open, close, visualizing Saturn and Jupiter coming together as the fingers are closed and separating out the planets as they open. Okay, now keep going, doing the same thing. And coordinate now the inhale and exhale with the fingers opening and closing. Keep going. Visualizing Saturn and Jupiter merging together and coming apart with the finger movements. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Okay, third part is to hold the fingers wide apart. And it's going to be uncomfortable. And now we're going to put our mouth in an O shape and inhale and exhale through the mouth. 1 minute. Go, please. Okay, relax the fingers. Now inhale, hold the breath, tighten every single part of the body, legs, stomach, chest, arms, hands, neck, teeth, everything, tighten everything, hold it, hold, tighten, hold, exhale. And once again, inhale, hold the breath, tighten everything and hold for 10 seconds. Squeeze. Exhale. And relax.
In the first part of the exercise, are you supposed to visualize with your eyes open so you can see your fingers, or can it be with your eyes closed?
Yeah, eyes closed are fine.
So,
Yeah.
but it can be either way.
Um, I think that you should have your eyes closed.
Okay.
So, who would like to share how your experience went with that practice?
Kind of crazy fun, swinging planets through space. Who knew this was like yoga? Like who would associate yoga with like, I mean, this is very playful.
How are you feeling after doing it, Dominic?
Feel really good, but I did feel good before we started. Like it it's hard to say much about the change. Like this one didn't move a lot of energy for me. I might have to do it several times before I notice what's going on.
Yeah.
But some of them sometimes can be like that, it seems.
Well, it's going to work whether or not you get a huge change in your feeling. It's integrating your brain. So there's a Jupiter and a Saturn area of the brain, and those are connected to the fingers, and that's how it works. And the eyes are definitely closed, Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel more grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
present all the way down to my feet.
Well, that's what you wanted. You wanted to be more in your body. So Kundalini Yoga is great for being in your body, for sure. All right, someone else maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more refreshed.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember which planet is it Jupiter that has the huge red eye?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And like Dominic, I thought it was kind of playful. I also felt like we were going nanu nanu. I was just like, it was just fun watching him zoom back and forth.
Well, maybe Mork was a Kundalini Yoga master. I don't know.
There you go.
Jacob?
You definitely feel a lot more calm after. I did like how engaging it is. Because a lot of the different methods, sometimes it's a lot easier to fall off, but especially with the multiple things, you're going out moving your fingers, imagining it, and then bringing your breathing into it too. It really helped me just keep me there, in a sense.
Awesome. Good. Thank you for that feedback. Anybody else?
I was having a little difficulty with the visualization.
Mm-hmm.
But with practice, I'm sure that could be improved.
Yeah, I mean, this meditation is one that is going to build over time, and a lot of them are that way. There's some that you can just like massive result kind of almost immediately, but yeah. So this is like it's working at a deep level to integrate and balance parts of yourself that it takes time to do it. You know, I mean, you can get benefits right away. Like for myself, I felt I had just done a whole bunch of Kundalini Yoga before this meetup started. And I felt great, but I feel the change for me is a remarkable smoothness that's here for some reason, and calmness. And so I'm just really appreciating that. And I didn't notice any problems before we started the technique, but now that I've done it today, I feel somehow more like everything is okay. But I wouldn't have been able to say things weren't okay before, but somehow it's taken off a level of subconscious not okayness or something. But I'm just kind of feeling like very much is everything is fine and nothing is a problem. And so that's kind of been my result from this today. Would anyone else have a question or like to share anything about your experience?
I have a question. when you're doing this with the breath, does it matter which, like, do you inhale on this, or exhale on this?
It's not given. I personally inhale on spreading,
Okay.
but you could try it both ways. To me, it's more natural to inhale on spreading, but it's not given.
I do feel calmer, and my arms are tired, and but it did feel powerful. Like I could feel like the planets, like the size of it.
Cool. Yeah, it does something for sure. Really does. Thanks, Bernard. Okay, you guys ready for the second one? You guys ready to move forward to another technique? Okay. All right. So this particular next one is for curing addictions. So I don't know if anybody here has ever been addicted to anything. Maybe none of you have at all at any time. But just in case you have, or you might be in the future, of course, tongue in cheek, most people have been addicted at some time to something, whether, doesn't have to be a hard, heavy duty thing, but it could be, sugar, or it could be chocolate or coffee, who knows what we might be addicted to. But generally speaking, or at least 99% of the times, addictions are bondage. And so we are performing behaviors that are not helping us, and that we cannot stop compulsively doing. So this is a great way to actually get free of that. And so we're going to sit in that same type of posture. So straight spine, and put the lower, like kind of like you're sitting at attention. It's not an exaggerated thing, but just the lower spine just rocks forward a slight amount. If you want to sit on a chair, you can just put both feet flat on the floor. If you're on a chair or couch, crossed legs while sitting on a chair don't quite work for this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to make fists and then extend the thumbs out straight like this. Okay. And right here on the side of the head, there's a little impression. You're just going to put the thumbs right in those impressions there. Okay. And it might be a little sore, but there's no pushing. We're not jamming them in, just touching. Okay. And then you're going to lock your back molars together. Okay. And keep your lips closed. And you're going to create a massage. Basically, you're going to create a vibration by rocking the pressure on the back molars from left to right. So left one is tighter, then the right one is tighter. So you're going to tighten side to side, and that it's going to move this spot that you've got your thumbs on. You're going to be able to feel the I don't know the name of it, temporal sphenoidal structure suture. You're going to feel that moving under your thumbs as you rock. Your teeth are closed together. They're closed tight, not uncomfortably tight, but tight. Your lips are closed, and you're rocking the pressure from left to right continuously, back and forth and back and forth. And you're feeling that with your thumbs here. Okay. And so your eyes are closed, and you're going to keep your attention internally at the brow point right here. Okay. Right between the eyebrows. Boom. Your attention is there with the eyes closed. And so all of that is going on. And then there's something mental which is going on. You're going to mentally, in Kundalini Yoga, they call it vibrate the sound. I just call it mentally say or recite, but if you can vibrate it, that's great. So this sound is 4 syllables: sa, S-A, ta, T-A, na, N-A, and ma, M like Mary, A. So that is the sound. So I'll put it right here: sa, ta, na, ma, and then share the screen. Okay, I mean, that takes like 5 seconds to memorize. So it's not that big of a deal. You're just gonna, so what you're gonna do basically, the whole practice is that you're just going to hold this position. You're gonna do that rocking back and forth. And so has everyone got Satanama? Pretty straightforward, okay? And while you're doing the rocking back and forth, eyes are closed, mental attention is right here, then you're going to mentally recite at whatever speed you want to, sa, ta, na, ma, sa. Of course, you won't be making the sound like I am, but in your mind, you will be doing sa, ta, na, ma, just repeatedly doing that. Okay, so we are going to do this. Okay, any questions? Is it straightforward? Is it clear? Okay, we're going to do this for 6 minutes. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to think about an addiction you want to get over. It's working at a deeper level than the conscious mind. Okay, here we go. Rocking the pressure on the back molars left and right at whatever speed you want to, and reciting in your mind, sa, ta, na, ma. If you need to put your arms down, there's no need to force yourself painfully to continue. Just rest a little while, shake them out, continue back up when you can. If you do put your arms down, you can continue the molar alternating and the mantra in your mind. until you want to continue with the thumbs. Doing well, 2 minutes left. Last 15 seconds. Okay, relax the arms. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for doing that, sharing that time together. That was awesome. So sharing about what that experience was like for you. I'll start out. My experience of doing that was that during it, I felt like I was somehow building increased, I felt like determination building, like I had almost like more power to do what I should do. I just felt like I'm somehow growing the ability to do the right thing. And now that I'm done, I just feel like empowered and clarified. And I just feel like I'm like right here, like boom, everything's good. So that's a very different result from the last one. So that's what happened with me. I'd like to hear from you. What has been your experience of doing this? Or you can ask a question.
I will tell you that I feel very energized, even though I felt like during the whole thing I was doing it wrong. I've got fingernails, so I couldn't feel the movement that I was supposed to be feeling. And I don't think my back, bottom and top molars actually line up. And it was kind of awkward. But yes, I do feel very energized. Thank you.
So you had some challenges with the thumbs and the teeth, but you went through it anyway and still got a result. So good for you, Sue. That's awesome. You look bright.
Thank you. Oh, and also my eyes, when I was switching from molar side to side, my eyes kept going, to the side that I was switching to, until I remembered you said focus in between the brow, which helped a lot.
It's interesting that you bring that up because if you're familiar with EMDR, also we call them generically bilateral stimulation for clearing. It started with this eye movement back and forth, but now they've also used auditory tones for beeping, left, right ears. And then they have also, like sometimes the therapist will touch you like on the left and right hand or left and right knee, alternating. So there's a kinesthetic way of doing that, left and right as well, for clearing brain balancing. So it's interesting that this is also a left and right continuous alternating stimulation. So I hadn't even noticed that until somehow you trigger that awareness, Sue. So beautiful. Who else?
Just as a general thing about these, I noticed that the first few times I always feel like I'm doing something wrong, like, oh, for part of the time I forgot to do this thing, or I wasn't like the mantra was a little off or something like that. If you keep doing it and just checking, like just keep checking the reference, eventually you start to do it perfectly. It's just kind of, I think one of the unwritten things is that we're cultivating patience with ourselves at the same time, and kindness and gentleness. And it's not written anywhere, but that's what I found. It's very similar to like other meditative practices that way that I did in the past.
Thanks, Dominic. I agree. I mean, Kundalini Yoga is a process of coordinating the breath and the posture and the mantra and the hand position and the mental focus and the eye position. So there's a bunch of stuff to do, and so sometimes it takes a little while to kind of get it. One of the things, though, is that the more of it you do, the more you can just jump into a new technique, and your skill at it kind of grows cumulatively, actually. So you can be introduced to new Kriya and quickly kind of get it. So,
And your arms probably get more conditioned.
yeah, these are the easy ones, actually. They have hard ones too, where you can hold them up higher for longer. But yeah, I get it. We're not used to doing it even for 6 minutes. So speaking of minutes, this technique, it's on the notes I'll send, is you start out 5 to 7 minutes, and then you can gradually build up to whatever length of time you want to. Typical time lengths in Kundalini Yoga are 11 minutes is a very common one, 22 minutes, and then the maximum time for this particular technique is 31 minutes at a shot. But you can kind of choose how long you want to do it. And, that'll correspond to, of course, to the benefits that you get, but it's also not like there's pressure that you have to do it, X length. Speaking of which, one of the ways that you can really garner a lot of benefit from Kundalini Yoga is by taking a 40-day challenge where you select a technique and then do the same technique for 40 days in a row. And that can generate a huge amount of benefit. So just be aware of that. Yes, Katie. Were you going to say something?
No, like Sue, I had a hard time finding my molars, and then the movement. And what I find out was that one is lower than the other, just like my left shoulder is way lower than my right, so is my left molars. So I'm really interested to try this because I have a really severe addiction to sugar.
Have you had TMJ problems?
Probably, but not too severe.
Well, you may want to check with a cranial sacral person or a
Uh-huh.
TMJ expert.
Okay.
This actually may help balance it, but maybe a little cranial sacral would help. And also, I feel like if our skulls are out of balance, like the sutures are not all having the same pressure, because cranial work is supposed to actually balance that. And I've had benefit from that. I think that actually that can contribute to lots of mental issues and addictions as well, just
Oh, wow.
structurally, because it's creating different pressures on our brain.
Uh-huh.
But
So
Kundalini Yoga helps to balance that.
what is it called?
Craniosacral. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
It's
Thank
kind of like a specialized form of chiropractic where they just work on your head. Well, they work on your sacrum too, but a lot of it, they're actually manipulating your skull is several different bones sutured together. So there's all these different relations. Generally, they get. Okay, so that's that went to the. Put it to everyone. There you go. I mean, that's actually good. Craniosacral is good for spiritual growth too. Because
Oh,
there's
wow.
so much about spirituality that's centered in your head. So,
Yeah. It's all in your head.
well, a lot of it. Mm-hmm.
I was just joking. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Jokes are good. Keep a lighthearted approach to it. Dominic's a teacher of laughter yoga. Maybe he can come on and do a session with us one of these days.
You know, the one thing I would say about it is that whenever I do it, I usually remind myself that this really would have been helpful, you know, at such and such a time recently when I was not mindful about doing it.
But you should do it more, you're saying?
Yeah, I don't do it enough, actually.
Well, one time you could definitely do it is in our meetup. I'm inviting you. Okay, other sharing or questions about this technique?
I have another question.
Okay.
We don't have the sheet from last week. Can you please send it to me?
Oh, there was no.
Okay, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. I was at the Vortex Healing in Phoenix during that time of the class, so we had no class last week. Okay, so is this? I'd like to know is this the kind of stuff that's applicable and appropriate? Is this apropos to your life? Is this like good stuff for you? What do you think? Yeah. All right, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs here. That's good. You know what would be really exciting for me would be to hear from you. Like, what are some areas of clearing that you'd be interested? I have techniques for almost anything. Okay, I have so many. So what are some subconscious issues, problems, realities, life areas, or complexes or whatever that you in particular would feel would be beneficial for you or the group for there to be techniques shared about? So this is a time you can just, make a request.
So I had an issue come up recently. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I've been feeling really good, kind of unbothered by things. And then last night, something came up and it triggered an old rejection issue. And I was really kind of surprised to see it, show up since things have been so unruffled. So I'm aware of that one at this time.
Rejection.
Yes, rejection.
Okay. All right. Let me make a note of that. I'd love to share a technique for that.
Awesome. And I love both of these techniques. I feel mostly there's sort of a sense of clarity, a really emptiness, I would say, even more than clarity, like sort of an emptying out. And also I had this sense of sort of I'll call it non-localized sense. There was less of a sense. In fact, during the first exercise, towards the end, I touched my face, and it was almost a sense of a sense of touching something foreign, if that makes sense. Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. You know, I'm interested definitely in sharing something for rejection and on a future meetup. And also, you mentioned about the kind of stillness or quietness that's happening. And so there's something in yoga is called pratyahara. And so actually that's withdrawal from the senses, but it also refers to where your mind becomes very still and there's no chatter. And people spend a lot of time trying to just sit in silent meditation, either focusing on the breath or like whatever, with the goal of stopping their thoughts or stopping the talking in their head. And many people have a great frustration with that. And so there are some Kundalini Yoga techniques which are designed to actually quickly bring you into a great stillness. So that's also something that it's not exactly clearing garbage out of the subconscious mind, but it's related. And it's also related to, the kind of stuff we do in Finders. So I can put that on the list as well.
Good. Thank you.
For future stuff. Definitely. So thank you again, Laura. So anybody else like to share anything? Okay, so we've been going about an hour. Why don't we go ahead and do our closing sequence? And then if anybody wants to hang out or has a question, you're welcome to, or we can conclude. All right, so let me get the song ready here. One moment. Okay. All right. Prayer position. Well, the closing mantra is long sat and a short nam. Inhale. Sat nam. Sat nam. Sat nam. Okay, and then we'll sing for a brief period with this.
Shine upon all that surround you, and the pure light within guide your way on.
Okay, and if there's other versions of that song on YouTube, you could just search on Longtime Sun, and if you like a different version, you can use that one. Okay, so I want to say thank you very much for coming to this meetup. And if you have provided me with your email in the past, or if you put it in the chat today, I'll send you step by step on what we've done today. And this is the end of the official part. If you guys want to hang and ask questions, you're welcome to do so. And I just appreciate you very much that you are all here and can do this. It feels great. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
David and Dominique.
Thank you.
David, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned posting on the Finders alumni website, the Perfectly OK website, posting, I think, the techniques that you've already covered.
Yeah.
Have you already posted that, or are
No,
you
no, it's not there now. But I'm gonna make short videos, instructional videos of the techniques, and they'll just be one technique per video. So they should be there in a few days. So
All right. Would you know yet where, under what category they might be found?
I'm gonna ask her to make a category for clearing the subconscious with David Kennedy.